Hey guys, it's the Coaster Battleman here, bringing you an awesome video. And the big comment from the last video was from JJ O'Connell. Could you make a bunch of roller coaster comparisons? And I'm doing it for Cedar Point. Which coasters are most similar to their own? And this video was supposed to come out on President's Day, but you know, I've been busy and stuff, so that's why it's a little overdue. And usually I don't upload on Thursdays, so yeah. Let's just move on. And I recommend you guys suggest some videos you'd like me to make in the comments below. And I'll look at them when I'm making my next video and see which one I will make. And first, let's start with Millennium Force, and I'm going to compare it to Leviathan. And it's very tough to compare Millennium Force because it's a very, very unique ride. But Leviathan seems like the best comparison because they're the two original Giga Coasters from their manufacturers. It's Intamin's first Giga Coaster and B&M's first Giga, and they both have drawn-out layouts, and they also both have a high capacity, so these coasters are pretty similar, and they're both in the Cedar Fair chain. Next, we have Maverick, and I'm going to compare it to Intimidator 305. They're both intimidating rides. Like, I-305 is more intimidating because of the height and the crazy turns, but Maverick is pretty intimidating with its beyond vertical drop, launch, intense turns. It's just an intense coaster. I-305 is also really intense as well. It's even more intense than Maverick. These are both intense rides. And I mean really intense rides, and they're both very powerful too. They're both great rides. Next we have Top Thrill Dragster, and I'm going to compare it to Kingda. And because these are the only two strata coasters in the world, and they both have very similar layouts. They both have the same first launch, the twisting spiral drop, the twisting spiral going up to the top, and you can experience a rollback possibly on this ride. And then, but Top Thrill Dragster, it ends right after that final drop. It'll slow down, while Kingda actually has an airtime hill, then it will stop. So it's quite a little different, but Kingda's the rougher coaster, and Top Thrill Dragster has better restraints and is smoother. So that's why Top Thrill Dragster, in my opinion, is better, but that's the most similar comparison. Now I'm going to compare Raptor to Montu, and these are both old school B&M inverts, and they're both super intense rides, like some of the most intense B&M inverts you can find in the country, in the United States. They both have great layouts and very nice inversions, and overall they do pack a punch and are some of the most popular rides at their parks. Like Raptor, in the middle of the day, this coaster can have an hour-and-a-half line potentially, because it's, well, one, it's right by the front gate, and two, it's a great ride due to its intensity and inversions. Next we have Gatekeeper, and I'm going to compare it to X-Flight because they both have the wing over drop, unlike all the other wing coasters in America, and they're both very close to each other compared to other wing coasters. They're just around 300, 350 miles apart. And Gatekeeper, it has some great inversions and a very nice wing over drop and some great hang time. X-Flight, it's kind of like the worst version of Gatekeeper. It has better keyhole elements, and a better color scheme than Gatekeeper, but they're both great color schemes, and they're both wing coasters. They aren't that intense, but honestly, I prefer Gatekeeper because it has a much higher capacity, and the lines are shorter for it, and it's a much better ride. But X-Flight is smoother, though. Now I'm going to compare Valravn to Griffon, and I've ridden both of these dive coasters. I haven't ridden Griffon in quite some time, though. Last time I rode it was 2014, and that was almost 4 years ago. And Valravn, the last time I rode it was in the fall of 2017. So, Valravn, great dive coaster. It's a really cool ride. Unfortunately, in the second year of its operation, it's already starting to develop a bit of a rattle, but the inversions are still very good. But it just feels so short though. It just seems like it just starts and then stops. Like it's just super short. And then Griffon, it is also a short ride, but I don't really remember too much about this ride, but I still remember the drop was amazing. Like Valravn, great drop, great view. But Griffon, I feel like it's a better ride because I've heard that it's like flawless when it comes to smoothness. It's like no little to no rattle at all. And it also has a great color scheme as well. Valravn also has a good color scheme. But moving on, we have Rougarou and Dominator, and these are very similar B&M coasters. Like I could compare Rougarou to stand-up coasters like Riddler's Revenge or Green Lantern, but I feel like I will compare it to Dominator because they're both floorless coasters and they're pretty rattly rides, and they both have massive vertical loops. But unfortunately for Rougarou, it is kind of rattly in some parts. Like the drop and the vertical loop are the smoothest part of the ride, but other parts of the ride, like the corkscrews, are very rough, or not very rough, but kind of rough compared to the other parts of the ride. But yeah. Moving on, we have Magnum XL 200 and Desperado. Trying to get this a little short here. Magnum XL 200, the first ever aero hypercoaster, great airtime, and Desperado is in Vegas, and it has a pretty cool layout. It's not the best coaster, it's kind of rough, but that was my closest comparison. So yeah, Gemini, I'm going to compare it to Excalibur because they're both aerodynamics hybrid coasters, or special coasters as they were called. Gemini is a very unique racing coaster. It has the steel track and wood structure and two different sides to it, so it's a very cool racing coaster. It's a very underrated ride, and I really do enjoy Gemini. I think it's a lot of fun. It is a little jerky, but if you can get through it, then you're going to have fun on it. Excalibur, it's probably the same situation. It's only one track, so it's not nearly as good as Gemini, but it's still a decent ride at Valley Fair, and it's one of their better rides. And Corkscrew, I'm going to compare it to the Aerodynamics Corkscrew models because, well, Corkscrew is very, very similar to them. Except Corkscrew has a vertical loop and the double corkscrew. Like the normal corkscrew models, they have the drop, then they turn into the corkscrews, and then it's over. But Corkscrew has a few extra elements, so. And also, DNA and RNA molecules kind of remind me of Corkscrew. Because of the corkscrews that they have, like, everyone says it's a double helix, but to be honest, it's more of a double corkscrew, or infinite corkscrew, or whatever. Yeah. Kind of something funny there. Not funny? Okay, moving on. Iron Dragon. I'm going to compare this coaster to the Bat because they're both in Ohio, and they are very similar coasters. They're both aero-suspended coasters. They have solid drops, but Iron Dragon is a nice long ride and goes over the water. But the Bat, it does have some good terrain use, but it's a lot more intense and short. It's a shorter ride, but it's more intense and a bit rougher due to the intensity, but honestly, the Bat is more fun due to its intensity. Iron Dragon is nice, though. I really do enjoy it. Next, we have Cedar Creek Mine Ride, and I'm just going to compare this to other mine trains. Well, just because they're mine trains. They don't really do much. Moving on, we have Blue Streak, another quick one here. I'm going to compare it to Racer because they're out and back wooden coasters that are pretty rough and they don't have that much airtime, or at least when I rode them. That's kind of the reason why they are being compared. Next, we have Steel Vengeance. This will be the best coaster at Cedar Point, most likely. There's a 50% chance that this will be my favorite coaster at Cedar Point, depending on how good it is compared to Millennium Force, but it definitely looks like the best hybrid in the world, for sure. And I would compare it to Lightning Rod and Goliath, because those are two elite RMCs. Is Goliath, I would compare it because of the height and the drop, and Lightning Rod because of the speed. But this is definitely going to be a fast ride. 75 miles per hour, over 200 feet tall, and it's super long. It's going to be an elite coaster. It's going to be on that elite tier of coasters on the level of Millennium Force and Maverick. And will create a new big three at Cedar Point, with Top Thrill Dragster being another elite coaster in their top 5. Man, Cedar Point, you guys have so many great coasters. You have to appreciate Cedar Point with their great coasters like Millennium Force, great coaster. Maverick is amazing. Dragster's really good, and Gatekeeper's also really good. Raptor, great invert, but Steel Vengeance added to that lineup. Oh my goodness. But anyway, guys, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It was another cool idea by someone in the comments, so I recommend you guys make some comments of what videos you would like me to make, and stay tuned for more videos.